I'm going to answer some more questions right now, and then we'll keep going into examples, and then have maybe 10 whole minutes just for questions. Let's see. Would you consider doing a 3-day event in 3 consecutive days or breaking it up? That, again, kind of depends on your audience. My preference is to do it together. Now so time of year is actually important too. Now we are back to school, so there's probably less vacations, less people leaving. There's probably a higher chance right now than you can get a participant to engage 3 days in a row. So, that could be different during sort of July, August, or vacation months. So consider time of year, time of day too. If your event is 2 hours, that's it, each day, I feel 3 consecutive days would be okay. I do have some clients who are sort of bookending their event. So instead of 3 consecutive days, because their event is all day, it's like from 8 to 4 with different tracks you can take and different options. In that case, we are not doing consecutive days because having people dedicate all day, 3 days in a row is difficult. So they're bookending that with a full day starting during a period, then a whole bunch of on-demand content, then ending it with another full day of live content over a 1-week period. And I feel like that works really well. So there's a lot to consider with the scheduling. Any advice on including copyrighted music in virtual events? I would say don't. That is an absolute no-no. Don't include popular music, even videos or other things. Facebook will take your content down almost immediately, and so will YouTube. YouTube Live tends to wait till the event is over and you click the button that says stop streaming. By default, YouTube videos that have been live streamed then just become normal videos anyone can watch later, and those get taken down really quickly too. So I would say don't use any copyrighted material in any of your events, if at all possible. The Emma Norton event had music almost through the whole thing, and we purchased music specifically for events. There's many services out there. I would recommend a service called premiumbeats.com. Premiumbeats.com has a lot of music. You're going to pay $40, maybe $50, $60 per song. Not a huge investment, and that is all royalty-free music, so you can use it in your events. And also, the music from services like that is not like a normal song that like a pop artist writes. That music is really meant and designed to be looped too. So it can just loop. So you may buy a song and it's only 3 minutes, but you can play it for 30 minutes. And it just kind of goes well like that. Virtual runs or walks. I haven't done a ton of that stuff yet, although the Mind Body Solutions event had people kind of in their own homes kind of separated, and a lot of those people were on mobile devices. So I would say for virtual events where you're actually out moving, you're not in a desk at a computer, kind of connected to the internet more sort of through your home system, just be mindful of mobile internet connectivity issues with phones and stuff. If you're in an urban area, it's probably no problem, but keep that in mind. That's probably an important detail for that. Good amount of time for breaks. I would say 10 minutes is not too long. And it depends upon what kind of event. If you're talking about sort of a learning event where people are signing up for a certain track or a keynote, and then there's 2 keynotes back to back, 10 minutes is probably okay. For different types of events, those breaks probably need to be longer or shorter. Just consider your audience, where they're viewing from, what environment they're in, and how much time they may need. If you live stream on Facebook, YouTube, etc., can people participate in polls or only something like Zoom webinars? So every platform is going to be different. YouTube specifically does have some polls. It has polls. It has links you can add. It has a comment system people can talk. YouTube has some great features for that. So it's an important thing to keep in mind when you're blending solutions. So for instance, a lot of times we're streaming an event live on YouTube, but there's a lot of people involved in it, so the participants are coming from other areas. That's actually the Mind Body solution was exactly that. Although the audience watched this on YouTube, the way we connected all the participants was through Zoom. It was a Zoom meeting basically that we streamed. So keep in mind when you blend platforms, like Zoom does have polls, but if you're using Zoom just to bring people together to stream to another platform, the audience watching on YouTube, they're not going to see the polls. So keep that in mind. Everything has, I would say a tip too in your blending platforms is don't, so typically say we're streaming to YouTube, typically people will also have that on their website. So say someone stumbles onto their website while the event's going on, they can watch it there. They can also watch it, they'll put the link in their Facebook or their Twitter or whatever, Instagram, to watch the event. You can see part of the event there too, but they're only paying attention to the comments and the interaction on YouTube. So if you do use multiple platforms or stream to different things at once, just make sure your audience is aware of where they need to go to participate and ask questions and chat, stuff like that, because you really don't want to be having to pay attention to Facebook and YouTube and Twitch and all these things at once. Do you prefer to stream over YouTube? Thoughts on Twitch? Again, it's kind of your audience. Where is your audience? Leverage the platform where your audience already goes, already has accounts. My personal preference, and for most nonprofits, it's a good place to stream is YouTube. If you're talking about a live streaming event, YouTube streaming system is incredibly reliable. It provides a very good experience for viewers. It's a large platform with a large built-in audience as well. I have really not had any problems with it, and it's free. It's free. They're not going to charge you anything. We also use Vimeo and some other platforms, but they all cost money. So I definitely prefer YouTube. So I have another question about pre-recorded content, and I'm going to show some examples that will answer these questions. So this is the MindBody event. So some background. This is their main fundraiser for a program. They have a program that they run where they give away the program to the beneficiaries. It's free. To pay for that, they need to raise a considerable a lot of money. It's tens and tens of thousands of dollars. So it was not an option for them to cancel this event. If they had to cancel this event that they normally do live, they wouldn't have the money to run that program. So this was a challenging one because this was early in COVID. People were scattered all over. They could not get together in their office anymore. It was shut down. They don't have a lot of technical skills. And this, they were trying to replicate what is a very real physical event where the participants are like being touched and it's a physical thing. What they're doing is doing sort of a yoga demonstration component to their event. And it's very emotional too. The benefactors of their work come on and they talk how much this has changed their life. And I mean, this event had real tears and real emotion, and it was absolutely amazing event. Definitely go watch it if you want to see a good example of a virtual event. So they achieved their goal. They raised the money they needed to do, and some groundbreaking things happened for this organization. This exposed them to a worldwide audience. So they already had a worldwide audience of people who were taking their training from all over the world, but these people can't travel to the US for this event, but for the virtual event they can, because they don't need to travel. This was so successful that this organization is now going to do a quarterly virtual event. They plan on doing it every quarter, not the exact same event, different ones, but it worked out really well for them. So the technology behind this was YouTube. It was streamed live on YouTube. We use OBS and we use Zoom, and they had a donation platform, which I believe was Classy. So that was that. And here's some of that pre-recorded content. You'll see they had some pre-recorded content that looked really nice. It had high production value. They worked with us we helped them edit that video, and they have a sort of a filmmaking partner too who shot some great footage. And so we mixed that high production value pre-recorded content for getting a message across. Like, we had the short window of time to talk about these things, so we didn't want to do that live. We showed that video, and then we went into interviews with different people, and they had these amazing, authentic, and emotional interviews live. That was really great. So we have this question here about recommendations for pre-recording content. How do you get good quality content? Well, the best way would be to work with an agency or someone like that, or work with video production company, and I'm going to show some examples of what we did for pre-recorded content to kind of make it seem more like event-like, I guess you could say. You can record content over Zoom. I'm doing that for another virtual event where unfortunately I can't travel to the 6 different places all over the country to record that. So we're recording that over Zoom. You won't get fantastic quality over any internet sort of remote recording things like Zoom or something else, or Microsoft Teams or Cisco. The quality is going to not be as good as in person. If you can record in person, definitely do that. I'm going to show you more examples of that. So there are some services now that are new, and they are sort of specifically meant for virtual video production. But they are very expensive. And we've looked into perhaps using some of those, but you will be paying about $200 or more per hour of content, and that's just to use the service. That's not, hiring the staff or hiring someone. So it's quite expensive for that. Typically, what we charge and what most agencies charge, or like video production companies, is kind of like a rate for a whole day, a day rate or a half day rate. And those range from $1,000 to maybe $2,000. But that's for a whole day and for a whole production team and all of that. And so far for every virtual event I've produced that needed video, we have never needed more than a day. So, and I'm going to talk a little bit about cost later too with one example. So that was that example. Here's a completely different type of example. I'll try to get through these quick. I see we're running kind of late. So this was Simpson Housing. This was a fundraising e-commerce kind of thing. So normally they have an art gallery. You go to the art gallery for the event. You buy the art. They can't do that. All the galleries are closed. So we had to replace this in-person gallery experience. So we built everything within their website. Their website was already WordPress, so that makes it easy. It's a custom WordPress website we did. So this platform is a custom website plus WooCommerce, which is a totally free e-commerce plugin, plus other plugins for WordPress we sourced and did. So it had a really great experience for people. There was a really nice shopping cart experience where you could buy the art just like any other shopping cart. They also had donation system running, which they have running all the time, but they did extra promotion. And the amazing thing about this entire system was it was all within their existing WordPress website. So they had literally nothing new to learn. They already were using WordPress to manage their site, so they could manage their virtual event through that. Everything's on their website. They control the whole experience. And this is done now and built, so this is easy to replicate every year. They can turn this whole art auction component, they can turn it off and on at will. And they can keep doing this event. So they made the investment once, and now they can just have it whenever they want. We had a question about this recording. Yes, this webinar is being recorded, and it's going to be available on demand later, the entire thing. So the next example is more of a digital conference. So this is a full-on conference with sponsors, keynotes, meetings, breakout rooms, roundtables, booths, all that kind of stuff. And it's a mix of pre-recorded and live content. And this platform is a custom website plus the Lifter LMS plugin, which is a learning management kind of plugin. Like events where you're going to have continuing education credits and things like that. It's very critical, the learning management system to kind of track that. And then Zoom and OBS and Vimeo. So this had a lot of technology involved with it. And it provides a really good trade show experience, actually. They had sold booths and sponsorships. They did not want to cancel this event. So we, through this website, which is kind of a turnkey thing we built for them, they can have a virtual trade show. You can click on booths and see custom booth content and learn about the sponsors. And the sponsors can even have live meetings with people through Zoom. People can sign up for all these courses. This is the learning part of it. So it's private. It's a private learning management system that's totally built into their website. It's not a service they have to pay for separately. All the video is Vimeo based. Vimeo offers a secure platform for streaming a video. So we use that. And every course has like surveys, downloads, continuing education credits. So it's a full-on kind of industry conference type event. The next event example, this is just a sort of simple like a press. This was a press conference, a press event where you normally get people together for sort of a press event and talk about an issue or something and have guests talk and stuff. So this was streamed on YouTube. This was for the National COSH. It's like a worker safety thing, which is a very critical thing right now with COVID, of course. And this really probably would not have happened at all in real life necessarily at the same level, because this virtual event brought together major players in their industry from all over. This woman here is like the executive vice president of the Postal Workers Union. They had many other executives. They had Jane Fonda during that event. All these people who they would have a really hard time getting together, even without a pandemic. So this was a way to do it. And the technology, this was YouTube, OBS, and Zoom. And they leveraged Zoom in a really unique way. We blended pre-recorded and live content. And then what we did was we used a few features in Zoom to sort of direct the content. And then they actually had this waiting room in Zoom. So the audience on YouTube saw things. And then when that stream was over, the people in Zoom continued to have more content. Basically, the press was allowed to be in Zoom with the participants. It's a very unique way of doing it, a very unique thing. Is the MindBody event still available to view on their website? It's on YouTube. If you go to YouTube and search MindBody Solutions, you will find their channel with lots and lots of video content, which we help them produce. One of the videos in their video library will be the event. So you can find it there and watch it in its entirety. So the next event is this, another one streamed to YouTube. This was a gala. This was really a virtual gala, sort of taking their traditional gala experience and bringing it online. This is a main fundraiser for them, and they actually exceeded their goal. So they met their goal, and because we had that live auction data mixed in, live data, we then could increase the goal. They went to their stretch goal. They met their stretch goal. They continued to get money after this was over. They ended up being quite a bit of money over their goal and spent thousands and thousands of dollars less than they typically spend on a physical event. So I would say that this organization, Emma Norton, they kind of did everything right. All the things I've talked about in this webinar, they did all of those things. They really followed the model. And the people watching this event, this had every single thing you would typically see in a real live sort of gala thing. It had everything a viewer kind of expects, right? It had a pre-show, it had a post-show, it had a really good host, it had a silent auction, it had an actual auctioneer on screen helping run the auction, it had awards, testimonials, kind of all the content you expect. The technology behind this was YouTube, OBS, pre-recorded content that we filmed, and then their auction platform. I can't remember what it was. So you can see some of this screenshots. You can see the live donation data in there. Here's one of their sponsors, was this distillery. The distillery sent in their own video that we incorporated into the event. Then you can see there's their host, Shay Cage, an amazing local artist and activist and kind of well-known. Then they had an auctioneer from an auction company. That's all that woman does. That's her full-time job is auctions. And so we have kind of a black curtain in the background, and it kind of was filmed to look like an event, right? A gala. I'm also shooting another virtual event tomorrow where we're recording everything ahead of time. And that we have sort of a set, right? We build a virtual set, cocktail table, and a fancy background and stuff. So we purposely filmed this ahead of time to look sort of like a gala. So that was kind of the vibe they were going for. So this one is also available online, and this is I think a little bit over of a 2-hour program. So about the same running time if you physically went to like the convention center for an event. So if you go to YouTube and search Emma Norton Services, you can also find this Opening Doors Gala and watch the whole thing. If you want an example. Let's see. Send out these examples. Yeah, so all these examples as well too for anything that's online, kind of in forever. The examples will be included in the follow-up email too. Another one, so here's more of a roundtable. So you're watching a webinar now. I'm sure you understand how webinars work. But if you want to do a roundtable or a work group event or something like that, Zoom can be a good way to do that. Whoever is the host of a Zoom meeting can kind of use the Zoom tools to sort of virtually direct what's happening. This example here was a roundtable discussion that our company hosted. It was streamed live on YouTube. The components were YouTube and OBS and Zoom. So what you're seeing on the screen right there is my Zoom window. I am capturing my Zoom window. I am using the Zoom features of spotlighting a participant in order to sort of virtually direct it to show whoever's talking at that time larger. Then as people talk and interact, I can switch who's seen on the screen larger. And you can always see them kind of above all the participants in that panel above. So that's kind of using Zoom really not in a way it was meant to be used, but it worked really well.